Hello and welcome back to another week of This Week in Bitcoin. As always, we're going to be diving into all of the movements and biggest news in the crypto space over the past week. Today is Friday, January 26th, 2024. So before we jump into today's analysis, make sure you hit the like button below. Make sure you are subscribed if you're not already, and hit the bell notification icon to stay up to date with everything in the crypto space and hit your crypto goals. So without further ado, this week has been an interesting week. You know, we're still in the kind of aftermath of the Bitcoin ETF's approval. So definitely some movement going on in the market. We can see that the market cap right off the bat is slightly down from 7 days ago. So we're at about 1.6 trillion. We were slightly above 1.6 trillion last week, kind of 1.6 to 1.64. We are down slightly to 1.6 trillion for overall market cap this week. Bitcoin itself is ever so slightly up on the week. Technically, we had a little bit of a drop off, but a bit of a bounce last week after all of the ETF approval, but then another dip this week below the 40,000 price mark before bouncing back up in the past 24 to 48 hours above 41K once again. So fear and greed index is also down slightly on last week. We are below the 50 mark now. We are at 49 on the fear and greed index. We were up over 60 there last week, close to 60. So all the way down to 49. I think largely driven by this drop over the past week or so, obviously slightly recovering again in the past 24 to 48 hours. But interesting to see the market sentiment and the fear and greed index continuing to drop even lower over the past week or so. Thinking about some of the biggest winners and losers over the past week, as we said, Bitcoin is slightly up, slightly up, mostly green everywhere in here. No real major moves to the upside. I think a lot of projects are kind of 2-3% up over the week. Obviously, some bigger movers like Matic up 5%, ICP up 12%. Some other bigger winners like Solana, Cardano, AVAX, all up over 5, 6, 7, 8%. So definitely a lot of green going on over the past week. Another green week in general, and some good winners here with some of these projects up over 10% as well. Obviously, we are continuing to inch closer and closer to the Bitcoin halving. Scheduled at the moment to happen around mid-April, the 11th of April, so about a 75-day estimate away from the next halving event. Of course, if you are familiar with this channel, you know that a lot of the market sentiment that we talk about is driven by this halving event and the bull market that will occur in the 12 to 18 months after this halving event happening. So obviously the countdown is on. This is an estimate. This is a moving target. It will happen at a block height of 840,000. So the actual date and time will vary, but at the moment we're looking at April 11th. With the stock to flow model as well, what we're seeing obviously is, the darker blue colors, the colors on this stock to flow representing the days until the next halving. So we are inching closer and closer towards a darker blue and purple till we hit day 0 around April 11th. And as we know, the supply shock that will happen when the block reward gets cut in half once again to 3.125 Bitcoin, we have seen a pretty close correlation with price action mapping to the stock to flow model over time. So it'll be very interesting to see if this continues to map with the stock to flow model once the halving event occurs. Obviously, we'll keep our eyes on this, but just another reminder that halving event is inching closer and closer as we move through 2024. Bitcoin dominance itself, Bitcoin dominance is up over the week, so we're up over 2% in terms of Bitcoin dominance versus the rest of the market. So, we were sitting at around 50%. We're up to about 52% now over the past 7 days. So definitely a bit of a bounce, particularly in the past, 3-4 days or so. Bitcoin dominance is on the increase. Taking a look at the alt season index over the past month or so, we're having a 29 score here, saying that it's definitely not an altcoin month. It's more of a Bitcoin month. I think Bitcoin dominance is kind of showing us that over the past few days, especially with Bitcoin dominance increasing, it means that alts are not performing quite as well. But what we're looking at here is the top 50 performers, or the top 50 coins over the past month and their performance. Obviously, some big winners like Sui, Maker, ICP making that big move this week as well. So we've got Ethereum Classic actually performing quite well, and a few others like Stacks, Crypto also. Bitcoin is down 2.3% over the past full month. And then obviously more losers than winners in the altcoin index here. Some of the bigger losers like Matic, Algo, Near Protocol, VeChain, AVAX, DOT, all down more than 20% on the month. So it'll be interesting to see which alt might bounce back now that we've had a little bit of a Bitcoin bounce over the past 24 to 48 hours. We typically see some of the alts take a nice bounce to follow Bitcoin thereafter. So it'll definitely be interesting to see which of these might bounce back over the next 24 to 48 hours. Moving on to the crypto narratives. So I'll move my head here. What we've got is NFTs, liquid staking derivatives, DeFi and oracles kind of taking up most of the mind share when it comes to the narratives that are performing best over the past week or so. Definitely a good resurgence with NFTs. Some of the bigger losers, we've got ordinals, GameFi, memes, AI. So again, interesting to just track the different narratives. We will have a lot of other videos coming, diving deeper into the various narratives and how you can set yourself up for success when it comes to monitoring the different narratives and how they each have their own kind of mini cycles within the bull cycle itself. But always interesting to just keep an eye on the narratives that are performing and taking up more of the mind share at the current time. Next big one is the ETF performance. So obviously we've got a lot of interesting stuff happening with BlackRock and the iShares Bitcoin Trust in particular being the largest ETF performer. This is the amount of Bitcoin they've accumulated since the start of the ETF just 2 weeks ago. This number was at about 29,000 this time last week when we looked at it. So they have accumulated more than 20,000 Bitcoin over the past 7 days since we checked this last. Just as a reminder, at the moment, there's only 6,200 Bitcoin that are mined and minted every week. And that number is going to drop to about 3,100 in April after the halving. So if they continue to accumulate 20,000 Bitcoin every single week, we are in for a big supply squeeze in the next couple of months, because this is not sustainable. It's sustainable to do, but the price action has to reflect that. And I think a supply squeeze would be imminent if they were to continue accumulating 20,000 Bitcoin every single week. Just one of the other bigger stories from the past couple of days as well. We've got US government sales of about 120 million Bitcoin, which means that they're basically going to be selling off some of the Bitcoin that was confiscated during the Silk Road hack. I don't think that's going to be too big of a deal in terms of saturating the market, because that is a total of about 2,903 Bitcoin that would be released. As we saw, BlackRock alone have purchased 20,000 Bitcoin in the past week. So I don't think that's going to make too big of a difference in terms of impacting the market, but definitely interesting to see how the government will be selling off those holdings. So that is the week in Bitcoin. definitely some interesting moves happening, lots of accumulation happening on the ETFs front, a huge amount of Bitcoin being purchased by BlackRock and all of the other ETFs at the moment. We are inching closer and closer towards that halving event. Lots of interesting things happening in the market at the moment. So as always, if you enjoy these videos, if you want to stay up to date with everything in the crypto space, make sure that you like this video, make sure that you are subscribed below, and we will catch you in the next one.